It's Christmas morning, 2018. My wife, my 2 kids, and I, as always, we go down to Little Rock, Arkansas to spend the holiday with my mom, my mom's boyfriend, don't get me started, and my older sister. And my kids are tearing through packages at a breakneck pace. Michael Bublé Christmas music is playing over the speakers. There's laughter, there's chatter. When my sister gives me her gift, a DNA testing kit. I thought it would be fun, she says. Thank you. I gush. But I'm furious. Fun? Doesn't she realize the Hellraiser-level Pandora's box of emotions and events she could be unleashing? My sister and I were both adopted at birth. We're not biologically related, and neither of us has ever had any contact with our birth parents. So as I look at my sister's gift, suddenly I'm a little boy again. A scared little boy, wondering why he was abandoned, given up. I remember my parents telling me that I was adopted. I was 4, and I was pretty confused. So, you're not really my parents? Oh, we're your parents. You just didn't come from us. Okay, I think I said, and I got down off the swivel bar stool in our kitchen, and I made my way down the hall to my bedroom, and if I'd had the vocabulary to express it at the time, I'm pretty sure I would have said something like, "What the fuck?" Our adoption wasn't talked about very much while I was growing up. It just didn't come up. Not unless there was ever a question about our blood type or there was a history of heart disease in our family. No one had an answer, of course. And I wondered sometimes if my birth mother was ever thinking about me. When I graduated from high school. And I thought about seeking her out when I turned 25. But in 2000, I hit the big 3-0. And I thought, if I'm never going to do this, I better get to it. Now, this was in the days before DNA testing kits. So my dad sat me down and methodically and gently laid out all the information he had in his old and very organized files. He presented me with my birth certificate from New Orleans and an envelope from Volunteers of America, the organization that had housed my birth mother, taken her in, and helped her until she was ready to get back to what? I couldn't imagine. Just return to school? Return home to her parents and her friends? Run away? If she was young and alive, both of which I assume, did she just show up back in her hometown ready to resume her former life? Did she have a boyfriend or a young husband? Were they too young, just too naive, broke? Didn't she want to keep me? Did she consider getting an abortion? Why didn't she? So after verifying that Volunteers of America did in fact still exist, I wrote to them, requesting any information they had. And about 3 weeks later, in July of 2000, a letter arrived. My name and address written in beautiful script. I stared at that letter like it held a college acceptance, sweepstakes results, and a summons all in one. Dear Alan, we are responding to your request for information regarding your birth parents. According to Louisiana law, we are not permitted to release the names of your birth parents. At this time, we have not been contacted by your birth parents. A copy of your request will be placed in your file. Should your birth parents or siblings contact the agency, we will make them aware of your request. However, we are able to provide you with the following non-identifying information. Your birth mother was 19 years old at the time of your birth. She was 5'4" and weighed 115 pounds. Her nationality was Italian-French. Your birth mother had one brother, age 24, and a sister, age 23. Shortly before your birth mother's sister and her husband were killed in an automobile accident. According to your birth mother, your birth father was 22 years of age. He was 5'8" tall and weighed 140 pounds. He was described as very athletic. Your birth father was believed to have 5 or 6 siblings. He was unaware of the pregnancy. You were born at 1:27 p.m. on June 24th. Your birth mother named you Dylan. Rejected again. What to do? What to think? It was too much. And not enough. But I knew 3 things. I knew that my birth mother hadn't reached out to say she wanted contact. I knew that my birth father didn't know I existed. And I knew what the state of Louisiana could do with their law. I cried a lot. And then I put that letter away. And my feelings away for a long time. Until that Christmas, 18 years later, with my sister and my family and Michael Bublé. Now, to be fair, my sister thought that the DNA test would tell you something like, you're 67% Italian or 21% Russian-Lithuanian. I mean, she didn't think that it would lead to actual connections with other actual real people. And neither did I. Not really. I was afraid. I was afraid of disrupting my family's life. I was afraid of throwing a wrench into anyone else's very settled life. Hi, I'm your kid. But mostly I was afraid of being rejected. Again. So for 6 months, that DNA testing kit sat on the desk in my home office. And I looked at it most days like it contained uranium. Like its radioactivity might poison my life and the lives of others. And then one day we were packing to go on a 2-week vacation. And my wife said, you ever going to do that thing? Maybe now is the time. We'd be away. I wouldn't be sitting around stewing over it, waiting for the results. So I created my online profile, spit into the vial, and slipped it in the mail. And sure enough, after a few days on vacation, as the jet lag wore off, my thoughts were more on R&R than DNA. Until I got home. With the remnants of that test kit still sitting on my desk, I went directly to Ancestry.com to check my account. We have your results, it read. So with rocks in my stomach and my heart in my throat, I clicked. Now the first thing you see on Ancestry.com is something that says, where my people come from. And in the commercials, this is where someone discovers something unusual or surprising about themselves, like they thought they were Irish. Turns out they were 20% Danish. Now, as a terminally Caucasian man myself, it's no surprise that my people come from northern Italy and parts of France. But then as the timeline moves forward, the geography settles for me down into a tight little triangle west of New Orleans known as Acadiana. I am 100% Cajun. Les en bon temps roller. I've always loved the water. I've always preferred hot weather. Turns out I'm pot alligator. Now there's a second tab in that Ancestry.com DNA test results. People you might be related to. And as I click on that tab, I see this long list. These names of my people, people that share my DNA, the only ones I have ever seen other than my own 2 children. Beautiful Cajun names, Richard, Gramion, Fusilier, LeBlanc, Lacour, Hébert, and Roy. First name on the list is a woman who is likely my first cousin. I take her name and I type it into Facebook. And there she is with her husband and 2 children. And in the related to section, I see her mother's name. So I take that mother's name and I type it into a Google search. And up pops an obituary in a local Louisiana newspaper, the Crowley, Louisiana Post-Signal of one Vivian Curtis. And wouldn't you know it, Vivian Curtis comes from a large family of 6 siblings, 4 sisters and 2 brothers, Roland and Gerald. Now, all I have to do is figure out which one of those two poor bastards was 22 years old in 1970, and I've got my man, my birth father. So instead of doing what I should have done, which was take a shower, I spent days searching the archives of the Crowley, Louisiana Post-Signal, finding out that my birth father was indeed Gerald, that he had been quite an athlete, that he got married on my second birthday, and that his daughter, my half-sister, had been homecoming queen in 1994. I've still had no contact with Gerald, I'm sorry to say. But you remember that detail about my birth mother's sister and her husband being killed in a car accident shortly before my birth? Yeah. In a small town, if I can find Gerald's sports scores, I think that the death of a young woman and her husband is going to be big news. The first day that I search, June 1st, 1970. There it is in black and white. Local woman, 23, and husband, 23, killed in an auto accident. It was the Monday after Memorial Day. It has their names, it has the woman's maiden name, and that she is survived by a brother, age 24, and a sister, age 19. So in a daze, I typed that name into Facebook, knowing full well that I'm not going to find her, right? She's long since gotten married and taken another name, right? Nope. There it is. And I clicked on it, and there she is, staring back at me. My birth mother. I called Volunteers of America. I think I found my birth mother. The person on the line says, we can't give you the name, but if you tell us what you have, if it's true, we can confirm it for you. I said, I think it's Helen Spreafico. And the voice says, I can confirm that that is what our records show. So on Friday, October 25th, 2019, a wonderful woman named Laurie Arsenault wrote to Helen on my behalf. And just as I would have done with that DNA test kit, I was a wreck all weekend long, wondering where the letter was. Where was it in transit? When would it arrive? Would she even read it? 4 days later, Tuesday, October 29th, my sister's birthday, my phone rings. I just got off the phone with Helen, says Laurie. She didn't know. She didn't know that she had to let Volunteers of America know that she wanted contact. She would love to speak to you as soon as possible. I didn't wait. I'd waited 50 years. I called her right away. And she picked up immediately. This is Helen, she said. Hi, Helen. My name's Alan. And we laughed. And then she babbled something for a minute, and then she said, but I don't want to talk. I just want to hear you talk. And I said, well, that's going to be a problem because I don't want to talk. I just want to hear you talk. And we did talk. We talked for nearly an hour. And we talked again the next day. And the day after that. And that December, I went down to Lafayette to meet her. And last summer, she and Kurt, her partner of 30 years, came up to New York to meet my family. We talk and text nearly every day. Near the end of that first conversation, she said, I have to ask you something. I said, what? She said, are you short? I said, no, I'm 6 feet tall. She said, well, how did that happen? I said, what the hell are you asking me for? She said, well, it didn't matter. I told myself I was going to love you even if you were short, fat, and Republican. I said to Helen, I said, I can't wait to tell my mom about you. And Helen said, you tell your mom that she's my hero because she took you from me. And when I told my mom that, my mom said, you tell Helen that she's my hero because she gave me you. And I couldn't believe it. Still can't. But here I was, so afraid of abandonment for so many years, at the center of all this love. Thank you.